Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. Why don't you stand? Put our hands together if you're watching online. Thanks for joining us. Oh, it's your heart we're searching for. We want you and nothing more. Let your glory fill this place. We're alive in your presence. Come on, let's sing that out. It's your heart we're searching for. We want you and nothing more. Let your glory fill this place. We're alive in your presence. Oh God, we surrender all to you. Do what you want. Do what you want to. God, we love to see you through. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. Yeah. Standing in your light, and our hearts are open wide. Let us see more than before. Lord, come have your way here. We surrender all to you. Do what you want. Do what you want to. God, we love to see you through. Do what you want. Do what you want to. We surrender all to you. Do what you want. Do what you want to. God, we love to see you through. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. Lord. Oh, our God, have your way in me today. All-consuming fire, fall on us. All-consuming fire, fall on us. Here we go. Sing, all-consuming fire, fall on us. Yes. Oh, all-consuming fire, fall on us. We surrender all to you. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. God, we love to see you through. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. We surrender all to you. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. God, we love to see you through. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. Today, God. I'm not alone. You've walked this road before, and when I'm weak, you give me strength to stand. I'm not afraid. Still, I will dare to hope again. Still, I will dare to hope again. Oh, yes. You make the way through impossible. Carving a path through my doubt. Scars that you wear show the living proof. Not even death holds your power.
Your victory changes my destiny. My confidence is found in you alone. I will believe. Still there are greater
are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good. You're good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. No, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, yes, you are good. You're good. Oh, you are good. God, you're good. Oh, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. 'Cause you are good. You're good. Oh, you are good. You're good. Oh, Jesus, you are good. Good. Oh, you are good. You're good. Oh, yes, you are good. Yes, you are. Jesus, you are good. Oh, we love you, Lord. Jesus, you are good. Oh, he is good. He is good to us. You are good to us. Oh, yes. He loves you. He loves you today. And he wants the best for me. Yes, he wants the best for you. Oh, your goodness, God. Oh, your goodness is beyond understanding. It's beyond my understanding, God. God, you are so good. And what you have for us is so much greater than we can imagine, so beyond our understanding. God, if there's no room in our hearts for you today or in our lives, God, we open our hearts right now. Would you nudge us to make room for you where you belong in our hearts and our lives? God, because you're full of goodness. You are constant. You never change. You have so much greater things in store for us, God. So God, in this place of surrender, as we sang, we surrender to you, God. God, I open my own heart up to what you would have for me today, what you would have for me in this coming week. So God, help me open my heart and my mind up to what you would have for me today. And that's my prayer for everyone in this room, for everyone watching, God, that you would be the King of our hearts, and that we would make room for that King, because you are so good. Yes, you are, and we love you. Thanks everyone for singing. I hope that you're encouraged as we sing these words, as you sense kind of whatever you're sensing in this room, that would be God, and he's just nudging at your heart maybe, or he's just want to encourage you. And we just hope that you feel loved, and we just hope that you know that God loves you in this place. So why don't you go ahead and grab a seat as we continue in our experience.
Thank you, team. Wasn't that awesome? It's so good. What a great day to be here today. Well, welcome to Central. Once again, my name is John Paul. I'm a pastor here today, and I'm so excited that you have decided to join us. Thank you so much for coming. And hey, if you're online, we want to give a big shout out to our Facebook Live crowd. We have people from all over watching, from Peterborough, from Cannington, Ontario. But one of my favorites, we have a mom today whose 2 kids are not feeling well, but she didn't want to miss this experience. So thank you so much for tuning in as well. It is just awesome. We want to encourage you, if you are online, check it out, 10:30 on Facebook. It's just such a great time. We want to welcome every single one of you that are here. But today, if this is your very first time, we want to give you a very special gift today. And how you get that gift is by simply filling out the card that is directly in the seat in front of you. Just take a moment during service, even now, to fill that out. And immediately following the service, if you wouldn't mind just taking that card into the lobby, right at the big blue wall, we would love to meet you. And we can exchange that card for these awesome new gifts that we just got. I'm so excited about those as well. At this time, I'd like to call our hosts up as we get ready to give. I just want to encourage you again, if this is your first time, please feel no obligation to give. But if you are a regular giving partner with us here at Central, we want to encourage you that there are 4 ways you can give today. And again, as you prepare to give, we want to remind you that your generosity allows us to have an incredible impact in the Niagara region. And one of the ways we can do that is through our Red Frogs program. Red Frogs is a ministry that we use to serve the students at Brock University and Niagara College. And a few weeks ago, they had their O Week, and it was just incredible. We actually have some highlights from that time. Check out the screen. Yeah, Red Frogs is an incredible ministry that we partake in, where we can just simply go and serve the community of both Brock University and Niagara College. And our young adults are safeguarding the next generation there. They are being a light in the darkness. And if you're here and you want more information about Red Frogs, or if you are a young adult and you want to be involved in Red Frogs, simply email youngadults@centralcc.ca, or simply mention it on the card and bring it to the big blue wall. We'd love to chat with you about that as well. Now, a few weeks ago, some of you may have received an email. If you are in a group or a volunteer or a regular giving partner, it's our Inside Central email, and in that is a link to a chat survey. church health assessment tool. This is a tool that our church is using to simply get your input on how we can continue to be healthy and continue to have a greater impact in the Niagara region. So this is your last week to be able to fill that out. We want to really encourage you, just take a few moments and fill that out this week. In our November series, we're going to talk about the results of that assessment tool. So please, if you can, do that this week. Also this week, our groups are starting back up on Tuesday night. This is a fantastic way to get connected in community. We have a ton of different groups, but I want to highlight one today. It's my favorite group. It just so happens to be the one that I oversee. It's unbelievable. It is our Young Families group. Now, as a young family myself, I realize how busy life can be, and it's difficult to actually connect in a community. But we have established this Tuesday night program to fit the needs of young families. And so for $10, you get a full meal for you and your family. Not each, for the whole family. That alone, just come out for that. It's just awesome. Plus, there's a full kids program from 0 all the way to grade 6 and a 1 hour of adult parenting conversation. It is honestly amazing. So it starts at 6 o'clock, goes till 7:30. If you wouldn't mind going online to our website and go under Church Life, you can find it there, along with so many other groups. So I want to encourage you to do that. Finally, we have our encounter night tonight. Woo! Very excited about that. 6 p.m., it's going to be awesome. So whether you're a contemplator, whether you're a learner or an expresser, we are actually designed this evening to stretch ourselves. One, to grow in our relationship with God, but also to grow in our relationship with each other. So you do not want to miss it. It's going to be awesome. 6 p.m. back here tonight. So without any further ado, I just want to welcome back Pastor Bill for our week 2 with our series called Game Changers.
Breaking the 4-minute mile barrier is impossible. Everyone knows that. History knows it. Science knows it. Anyone in their right mind knows it. It's crazy. Nobody can run that long for that fast. It just can't be done. In 1954, Roger Bannister showed the world it could be done. When nobody believed, he did. Proving it was possible, he showed us a new way to run. So, back to breaking the 4-minute mile barrier. Some would say it was a game changer. I'd say there's more to come.
So good morning, how's everybody doing? All right, well, if you're watching online, you just need to know that it is a beautiful sunny day. It's like summer here still. And if you're in the area, we'd love to come have you drop by and join us next week. But again, we are in a series called Game Changers. And this whole series is designed around ideas and topics that we as leaders felt have changed our lives forever. And the reason this is so important is because we believe that these are game changers for you as well. And so last week, in case you missed it, we had a great kickoff Sunday, and we talked about the fact that the first game changer is really what you believe. Because what you believe informs how you behave, and how you behave eventually is who you become. So if you don't like who you're becoming, and maybe you don't like the way you're behaving, maybe you need to challenge what you are believing. And we learned that last week, and if you missed it, it's okay. You can go online and catch up. If you're watching us from wherever you are around the world, you can catch up as well. But before I jump into today's topic, I want to just talk about a couple of game changers for us here as a church family. The first thing I want to talk about is last weekend. Of course, last weekend was our kickoff Sunday, and I just want to celebrate with you what happened. Last week, we had 62 connection cards. That means there were 62 people who currently aren't involved or connected who said, I want to get connected in a more meaningful way. So that was really awesome. We also had 5 times the normal response when we gave the opportunity for people to make a decision either to follow Christ or recommit themselves to Christ. Over 20 people last week said, I'd like to make this decision. I'd like to begin this journey. And with our kids, we normally get about 320 kids on a weekend experience. Last week, we had 380. So we had 60 kids more than normal. And so it was a really, really, really great weekend. And so if you missed it, I really want to encourage you to go online because it really is the foundation for this whole series. It really does matter what you believe. I also want to just give you a quick update on our building. For those of you who do not know, we are in the middle of a capital campaign. We're building a new space and, again, a way to serve our community even better. And so in this process, here's what I've learned. The bigger and the more important the task, the longer it takes. I'm just learning that. Now, I'm not the most patient guy in the world, but I'm learning that it's an amazing process. So many of you know that on July the 2nd, we had our first experience on the site where we are going to be building. It was amazing. And again, you can watch on social media if you missed that. So here's where we are at the process. Last week on Thursday, we went to the Niagara-on-the-Lake Town Council for minor variations. So again, to comply with our zoning and all those wonderful things, we've had to go through a lot of process. And so last week, we had to ask the council if we could make some of the changes that we need to make. And I'm really happy to report that they unanimously decide, yes, we can do it. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And then this Tuesday, we get to go before the Urban Design Committee. I'm learning all about committees. There's lots of them, and they're fun. And actually, they're really amazing. And so the Urban Design Committee is to make sure that it looks pretty. So that's Tuesday. And if that goes well, then our revised site plan, because as you go on this journey, you have to keep revising it, will be approved, and we can start building. So we're close. Yep, we're close. But if you'd like to pray, you can pray that all these things go really well, really smoothly. We're on the process. It's a great journey. And if you'd like to get involved, there's a couple ways that you can do that. Again, we are trying to build a space that impacts our community, and we don't want to do it mediocre. We're just not mediocre people. That's just not who we are. And so if you would like to help by contributing to the capital campaign, that would be awesome. You can just go outside these doors and go to the back wall or the blue wall, either one, and find someone there. Also, if you have a trade, a profession that you think would help us, we're tendering bids right now. And so, again, you can get in on that. All you got to do is go to the great big blue wall, or again, the back wall, which is our capital campaign wall, and let them know what your trade is. And of course, you can get excited and celebrate with us as we move forward. So the good news is it is happening. We're in the process. We're on the journey. We're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and there's a lot of them. And we're going to get there, but we're going to get there together. So thank you for being such a great church family. Now, last week was probably the most important game changer because as we've already said, what you believe impacts how you behave, and how you behave impacts who you become. So that might be the most important one. Today might be the most difficult one. Today is where the rubber meets the road. Today is where you put your money where your mouth is. Because I have met many people who say they want to change, but aren't necessarily willing to do what needs to be done to change. So this game changer is about surrender. Surrendering your way to a better way. When I was a kid, I don't know where I heard this story, but I remember it vividly. It caught my attention. There's a story of a pirate, and I just loved pirates. I mean, who doesn't like a pirate? Unless you lived in that day and you were getting attacked by a pirate, of course. But everyone loves a pirate, and so this pirate had just attacked a merchant ship and had taken a huge amount of treasure and was being pursued by the Navy. And so this pirate ship was trying to find safe harbor on this island to hide their treasure. You know how it goes, right? Treasure map, all that stuff. And as they were getting close to the island, a storm quickly rose up and crashed their ship against the shore, against the rocks. And so now the ship, broken up, was taking on water quickly, rapidly. It was a desperate life and death situation. So at this point, the crew, they're trying to get into lifeboats or jumping overboard and swimming to the shore. But the captain of the ship had fought so hard and long for this treasure that he couldn't leave it behind. And so he started to drag this massive chest, this heavy chest across the ship, trying to get it overboard. But it was too slow a process, and he drowned in the water. He drowned holding what he thought was important while giving up what really was his life. So my question for you today is, what are you holding on to? Is there something in your life that you think is worth fighting for, dying for, consuming all your energy for, that actually if you were just honest, you'd realize that it's actually the very thing that is killing you. And the thing that you thought you were going to get, you're not getting at all. And the thing that you were afraid of losing, you're actually losing. So what are you holding on to? For all of us, it looks different. For some of us, it's an attitude. Sometimes it's an attitude that says, I want to have my way no matter what. And we spend a lot of our time fighting for our way. My wife, Carlene, tells a story when she was a little girl. She had this phrase, and her phrase was, I'm the boss of it, right? I'm the boss of it. So whenever she got into a situation that she wanted to take control, she just said, well, I'm the boss of it. 3 years old. You're the boss of nothing. But, and funny, that 3-year-old appears every once in a while in my house today. Don't tell her, okay? That'll just be our secret. So this idea, right, that I can be in control of my own life, and I found that attitude pervasive in me. Here's my reality. I hate losing control. Because here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that if I'm not in control of the decision, somebody else is going to make a decision that negatively impacts me. So I'm just going to take control. I'm going to take charge. I'm going to make it my way, right? My way or the highway. How's that working out for you? Are you getting what you really wanted? Do you feel like you're in control? Or are you actually losing control? For others of us, it's a habit or an addiction. Now, addiction has many faces. We have the stereotypical ones, but all of us struggle with something. If you don't believe that, or you don't claim that, you're a liar. I'm sorry. There's every one of us in this room and every one of you watching online who there's something in our life, this little lure, this bait that we seem to keep biting on, even though it gets us hooked and dragged in every time. And the truth is, it just, for us in the moment, it just feels good, whatever it is. Physical, emotional, spiritual. In the moment, it just feels so good. And it's an addiction because immediately following the pleasure comes guilt and shame. And the deeper you allow that to spiral, the harder it gets to break free. And what you actually used to think you were in control of now is in control of you, right? For others of us, the baggage is an emotion. It's attached to something in our past. It's revenge, the need for revenge, or unforgiveness, or bitterness, or anger, or resentment. Fear. We allow these things to define us. The things that have happened to us in the past, they become a label. And they're no longer just a label because we've actually begun to believe they're a part of our identity. And so we find ourselves in a place where we're trapped, holding on to things that are literally killing us. So again, I ask you the question, what are you holding on to that is killing you? What we're going to learn today is that actually to find freedom, you need to deny yourself from what you think matters sometimes in order not to die from what really does. Here's how Jesus said it. If you have your Bibles, you can turn with me to Luke chapter 9. If you don't have a Bible today, that's okay. Actually, we'd love to give you one if you don't own one. If you're watching online, wherever you are, just let us know because we believe everybody needs to have this truth accessible to them. And so if you have your Bible, you can turn to Luke chapter 9. If you have a mobile device, you can download the YouVersion app and you can follow along that way. And if you don't have either of those, then again, it will be on the screen. But here's what Jesus said in Luke 9, 23 to 24. He said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. So, how do you find freedom? Because at the end of the day, this game changer will bring you freedom. It actually seems counterintuitive. It almost seems like the opposite, the very thing that you've been told probably all your life in this North American self-absorbed, self-consumed culture. This is going to go against everything that you thought mattered. And it's the very thing that actually is destroying our culture. We have got to reclaim what Jesus was saying. And it's not easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. If you want easy, you want mediocre, this is not for you today. But if you want greatness, if you want what God has designed you for, then maybe we can all learn something together, because I need this too. The first thing that Jesus says is that if anyone would come after me. It's interesting, this word would, again translated in English as would, is much stronger in the Greek. When Jesus said it, it means to have passion for, to desire, to push everything else out of its way. It's this idea that every 12-step, 10-step, 3-step program teaches. The first step to freedom is acknowledging you got a problem. The first step in finding this freedom is to acknowledge that you're actually your own worst enemy. I know, right? Because you've been told you're special, you're precious, right? You got the participation, remember, for coming 52nd in the race? I know, so you're very special, right? And what Jesus is saying is actually there's a better way. So I got thinking to myself, why don't people let go? I mean, I don't need to tell you what that thing is. You already know it. This is how it works, right? As I'm talking, you're already thinking about that thing. Your mind is already processing, oh yeah, that thing, this thing, whatever, the other. So why don't we let go when we know it's not good? I think there's a couple of reasons. One reason is simply apathy. We just don't care, right? So someone dying of lung cancer because they smoke, and the doctor says, you got to stop smoking. They go, I'm going to die smoking. I don't care. The person having the affair, they know that if it gets out, it's going to devastate their family. It's going to impact their kids. It's going to impact their community. But they don't care. The person who continually cycles in that emotion of outbursts and anger and frustration and disgust. They know it's pushing everybody away, but they just don't care enough to change. The person who works all the time knows that it's going to have a negative impact on their kids, their family, but they choose to do it anyway because either they need to buy that new thing or they don't actually want to deal with the conflict at home. They don't actually want to lead, so they'd rather just go to work. Or gossip. You do know, right, that when you put hurtful words on social media, that person who reads it is hurt? You know that, right? But maybe you don't care. Maybe you're so passionate about being right that you've forgotten the greater thing is to actually care. Is that not what it means to truly be human? I mean, have we not learned our lessons from destroying one another, that we continue to justify our negative behavior? I think some people don't let it go because they just don't care. I think another reason that people don't let go is because they have a faulty perspective. They actually think that they're right. It's like, have you ever tried to run through a house of mirrors? It's a devastating option, okay? It's not good. When all you see is yourself, you're going to run into wall after wall after wall after wall. And I think some people don't let go because it actually kind of feels good. That bitterness actually feels good. We actually rejoice when other people struggle because it makes us feel good. We're so consumed looking at ourselves that we keep running into walls, but it doesn't matter because our perspective is it's all about me. Can I just help you with something? That's a very limiting worldview. Okay? If we were all planets in the solar system and you're the center of it, there's only so much that can orbit around you. There's only so much that can orbit around you. And we're not very big planets. And then sometimes it's fear. We're afraid of what we're going to lose. Like if I let go of that, I'm not going to gain something better. You don't believe that. So I had a dog. His name was Amos, and we called him Famous Amos. I don't know why, but that's what we called him. And we adopted him. We inherited him. I actually think someone dropped him off at my house. I don't remember the whole story. I just remember he was very broken. And he came from a home where he was terribly abused, physically abused. You could tell by his reaction towards people. He was always afraid, especially of men. And I can remember he also had this starvation mindset. He thought that he was never going to eat again. So anytime like food was put on, it's like, whoa, he just like consumed it. He didn't enjoy it. He just like swallowed it. And if anything hit the floor when my mom was cooking or something, he would jump on that. And if you tried to get near him, he would bite your face off and not even lose an ounce of sleep over it. I mean, that's where Amos was at. I can remember this one time my mom was cooking, and she would always wipe out the bacon, the frying pan with the grease on a napkin. And so she went to throw it in the garbage, and it missed and went onto the ground. And Amos was like on it. And he's just like grabbing this new treasure, right? This massive napkin. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the after effects of a dog eating a napkin. It's not pleasant for anybody. It involves pulling sometimes, and you don't want that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, good for you. Get a dog. Feed it a napkin, you'll find out. And so as soon as he grabs this, my mom's like, no. We're all trying to get this napkin away from Amos. And of course, he thinks you just want what's mine. This is my greasy napkin. Don't you touch it. We even tried to entice him with real bacon. We're like, no, we'll give you the real thing. He's like, no, that's a trick. I know what you humans are like. As soon as I let go of this, I'm not getting either. And so we hang on to our junk, our garbage, because we don't believe that there's something better. And the tragedy is for many of you in this room, and myself sometimes included, we hold on to our stuff. We don't give it up because we actually don't believe it's going to get better. Thank you, I'll take my temporary fix right now because I don't think I'm ever going to feel happiness again. Thank you, I'll take a few friends who are negative and derogatory because I don't think anyone will actually ever love me for who I am. I'll keep pushing people away because at least then I'm in control. And if I let go of control, then my life is going to be ruined. I'm going to be a slave to everybody else's whims and expectations. And so we hold on. So what do you need to let go of that's killing you? See, Jesus comes up with the solution. He says, listen, the first thing is to believe that there's a better way. If anyone would come after me, if you desire that, if you're here today and you're sick and tired of it and you want something better, then Jesus says, here it is. You're not going to like it, but here's the solution. You got to deny yourself. Pick up your cross daily. You see, this is a process. It's not a one-time thing. And you have to follow me. Now, I know, right? You're like me. You read this and you're like, oh, man, I don't want to give up my stuff. We read this like God's some kind of demanding dictator, right? And all these rules, and I know sometimes it's taught this way, and I'm so sorry for that. Maybe you grew up in an environment where it was taught like God is this demanding dictator, and if you don't do this, he is just waiting to slap you around. Like, actually, God's greatest joy is when he gets to beat people up for their mistakes. If you think that, you have got a corrupted version of what Jesus is teaching. See, in this story, you got to understand the belief around this is that God isn't a demanding dictator. He's a loving father. He is a loving father. Now, if you're here and you're a loving parent, or you had a loving parent, you know that there are times when the loving thing to do is to say no, right? There's times when it's like no is the best answer. So they're 10 years old and they want to go have a sleepover. And you know the environment that they're going to go into, and you're saying, no, you can't go there. And like, you hate me. No, I don't hate you. I love you. Right? No, you're not going out wearing that. You hate me. No, I know how boys think. They don't. So you're not wearing that. Right? They do, but not logically. No. You can't drive the car when you're 8. You're not ready. And so when you read this passage, like God is this demanding dictator, that's how you're going to interpret it. Oh, God just wants to take away my fun. I'm having so much fun. Just back off, God. Leave me alone. It's all about rules for you, isn't it? It's about jumping through hoops, appeasing you, making you happy because it's all about you. Actually, it never has been. if it was all about him, you wouldn't read the phrase cross in this passage. You see, God's never going to ask you to do anything that he's not willing to do himself. And when you were at your lowest point, when you could not save yourself, Jesus came into this world and he took on a cross upon himself to show you that love must always win. And that in order for love to win, you actually have to die to yourself, because there is no self in love. With all due respect, Whitney Houston, the greatest love is not the love of self. That's actually the opposite. True love is when you can get out of the way and love others unconditionally. So Jesus says, you must deny, which means to just let go of something you're holding in order to gain something better. And you must pick up your cross, which just simply means that you will do whatever it takes for another you will love. See, surrender is acting on a new set of beliefs. That I'm going to deny myself of what I think matters right now because I know it doesn't. And if I don't let go, I'm going to die to what really matters. If I don't let go of this, I'm going to die to my family. If I don't let go of this, I'm going to die to my health. If I don't let go of this, I'm going to die to my mental state of being. If I don't let go of this, I'm going to lose my friendships. If I don't let go of this, I'm going to lose the things that are most valuable to me, the things that really matter, the things that last. Because if you think it's that BMW, next year they'll have a newer, better version, and you'll be dissatisfied again. If you think it's that house, your house will depreciate. Well, it won't. But you'll see a better house, a bigger house, a nicer house. So what are you holding on to? And how do you find freedom? And the final thing is so not only does he say you got to acknowledge your need to surrender, you got to choose to surrender daily, but third and finally, you got to stay focused on the goal. And here's what Jesus says. He kind of wraps it up with this statement: whoever loses his life for my sake will actually save it. Will save it. Here's what I've learned about surrender, and this is why it's a game changer for me. The first thing I've learned about surrender is when I don't surrender, I actually put a limit on myself. Here's the deal. When you go to work tomorrow, okay, and you think it's all about you, do you think your boss is going to give you more? Like, just think about it logically. Okay, no, I need a raise. I need more days off. If you're constantly after your boss, fighting for your rights and yourself, do you think you're actually going to get what you were looking for? Probably not. If you go home today and over lunch with a friend or your family, you just rip into them for all the things that they're not good enough for you, that they just are selfish and they don't think about you ever, and you're sick and tired of it, do you think that's going to actually increase the love quotient around that table? Did you see this? You actually limit yourself. The very thing you're looking for becomes the ceiling that holds you back. When self is in the way, and I learned this early in my life, and I'm still learning it because I am stubborn and I am stupid sometimes. I still want to hold on, but I learned actually when I surrender myself to being a dad at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm tired and I got to work the next day, and I surrender myself to the joy that it is to hold my child, because I'm not going to get that opportunity for very long. Believe me, as a dad who's now an empty nester, hold on to those children. When I actually get to submit in a loving way to my wife, it's funny, right? We make fun of it, right? Oh, the ball and chain. We actually make it a derogatory thing. Oh, you're not going to have freedom to do whatever you want, hang out with the boys. Let me tell you something. The opposite is true. When I surrender my rights, my ways, I actually get to be a better dad. I get to be a better husband. The very thing you want from your spouse is only found when you give it away. This is a game changer because you're holding on to things that are killing you, and they're killing the things that matter the most. And so you have a choice. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. Here's the deal. Life is not fair. It's not. But it's fluid. What I mean by that is that you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control the flow of that fluid experience into something positive or something negative. And it all comes down to your attitude. Will I surrender to this idea that there's something better and that love will win or not? So this is a game changer, because if you don't understand it, it will always limit you. The reason you're so frustrated, the reason you're crippled is because you still believe it's about you. And when it's about you, let me tell you something, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to be good enough. They're never going to get it right. You're never going to get paid enough. You're never going to have enough holiday time. You're never going to be loved enough. You're never going to have enough people who think you're the best thing since sliced bread. You're never going to have enough, because self is a black hole. And so I realize I'm actually at my best when I surrender. I'm actually at my best when people hurt me and I choose to love them anyway. You know why? Because they don't have any power over me anymore. I don't hold on to forgiveness and resentment. I don't look for revenge. I'm at my best when I surrender that and say, it's okay. I'm going to choose the way of love anyway. I'm actually at my best as a husband when I'm washing dishes and vacuuming floors and listening to my wife and being really interested in her story and cheering her on. I'm actually at my best. The truth is, I actually get what I was looking for. Who doesn't love somebody who loves you unconditionally? I realize I'm at my best as a dad when, I get up in the middle of the night and it's hard and I stub my toe and I'm frustrated and I want to get to sleep. I'm at my best when they call me, like my son. I hope you're watching, Garrett, because I love you. At midnight last night, he says, Dad, I'm broke down on the side of the highway. He's in BC. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. But thank you for calling me. I love you. I'm at my best today because you kept me up till 1 a.m. worrying about you. I'm at my best. Right? Isn't that when we're at our best? It is. And so I'm just learning that surrender can only happen when we choose the way of love. And so the principle today is deny yourself of what you think matters, or you might just die to what really does.
I grew up in small town Alberta, population about 11,000 people. It was an amazing opportunity to get to know everybody in town. So basically, if something happened in my town, everyone would know about it. That was before the days of social media. This was our version of social media, just getting to know people. So in my town, there was a man, and his name was Monty. And Monty was known by everybody because he had drug overdose, and he had actually been affected very severely mentally because of it. A brilliant man before that, but the before and after was so marked that everybody could see what a difference had been made in Monty's life. And somehow, as a result, he had this stigma around him, and everybody kind of just avoided him like the plague. It was super sad, actually. And if people were walking down the street, they'd walk like a huge wide berth around him so that they wouldn't have to get too close. Well, here he was sitting on a park bench one day across the street from where I was. And I saw him. He was kind of rocking back and forth and, singing to himself. And then I saw somebody come along on their bike. They spotted Monty, parked their bike, went over and intentionally sat down right beside him. This person leaned over to Monty and started talking to him like he was an old, long-lost friend. And what I saw on Monty's face before and after was remarkable. Before this man had sat down beside him, Monty just had that hollow, empty, just lonely feel about him. And after this man got up and walked away, after several minutes of just investing into him and chatting with him, Monty's countenance changed. He changed to one of hope. He changed to one of something that would let other people know that he mattered. And that wouldn't have happened without that interaction, without somebody taking the time to serve him. What really hit home for me, my game changer that day, was seeing who the man was. That man who sat down beside Monty was my dad. And it kind of brought all the lessons, all the things that I'd seen, all the mentoring that I'd witnessed through my life, full circle that day. And I realized that I wanted to be that person. And I wanted to be someone who could put myself in a position where I said, you know what, I don't care what people think of me. All I know is I want to make a difference in somebody else's life. And if that means sitting with somebody that nobody wants to be around, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that I want to serve, and I want to make somebody's life more amazing because they matter to God and they matter to me. So looking back on that day when I saw my dad sitting back next to Monty, the neat thing about that is he did not know I was on the other side of the street watching the whole thing happen. And because I knew that he was serving him without an audience or serving him without an agenda, that is something that spoke to me incredibly. That was one of my game-changing moments. And I realized that that can happen for all people, no matter where we are, no matter what walk of life. If we are just there to serve other people and do what we can to make their lives better and let them know they're loved because of the way that we serve, that can be the game-changing moment that can change history.
Man, she's beautiful, hey? I'm gonna get her number. And you can't have it. Yes, exactly. To me, yes, she is. If you missed that online, someone just yelled, she's married. Yes. So, what are you holding on to? Is it bitterness? Is it selfishness? Is it the need to be right? To fight for yourself? Is it a career path that you hope will get you the admiration you're looking for? Is it a temporary pleasure that comes and goes? Jesus said it this way, if anyone would come after me. You see, here's the thing, you have a choice today. You have a choice. You're not a victim. You have a choice today to decide, do I want my life to matter? You have a choice to believe that there can be a better tomorrow than you're experiencing today. And you can have the choice to believe that you can have an impact for good in this world that desperately needs you. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself. Let go of that thing that you know long term isn't going to satisfy, isn't going to cut it. And if you don't know that by now, I'm here to tell you, my friend, that at some point you'll wake up and it'll hit you between the eyes. Deny himself and pick up his cross. Choose the way of love, even if it means you're giving your life. And follow me. For whoever will save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. So how do we do this really quickly as we close today? This week, before you make any decision, ask yourself this question, why am I doing this? And if you find yourself at the center of the answer, could I just challenge you to reorient yourself and redefine that choice, redefine that decision so that it can be maybe for somebody else? I used to love watching sports, I still do. But I will give that up to be with my family because at the end of the day, Tom Brady doesn't love me. I really wish he did. He doesn't. So before you make any decision, ask yourself the question, why am I doing it? And if you find yourself in the answer, could I just challenge you to change it? And then in your actions, I want you to ask yourself, when I do this, who will it benefit? Who will win? Am I trying to make me win? Because when you're the individual, You may win in the short term, but you'll lose in the long term because we were created with and the need for and the capacity to love and be loved. So do that for another person, what you would have them do for you. If you need to forgive somebody, even when you're only 1% of the problem and they're 99%, forgive anyway. When you have the opportunity to speak, use your words to build up, even though they tore you down. When you have the opportunity to use your power for good, not for evil. See, you need to ask yourself, is what I could gain by thinking about me greater than what I could lose? And you need to change the story. This is why Jesus, in verse 25, immediately following what we read today, said, "What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self?" And that's the question. And so today, if you're here, if you're watching online, and you'd like to respond, you'd like to say, I need to learn more. I need to know more. I want to get connected somehow. Just interact with your online pastor. And if you're here today, and if you're totally honest, in a moment of transparency, not thinking about lunch or what's happening next or who's around you, what are you holding on to? And would you like to let go today? Because you can. Because the cross reminds us that we can come to it and let it go. And so if you're here today and that's you, I want you to know that there are 3 ways you can respond. In a moment, the prayer team is going to come to the front. They'd love to pray with you. Or if you're in a hurry, we totally get that. You can take the connection card in the seat in front of you, fill it out, and drop it off in one of the 4 boxes, and someone will follow up with you. Or you can take it to the great big blue wall. Maybe for you, it's getting connected to another group of people who are imperfect. We don't have it figured out, but we're walking this thing together. We're trying our best to learn what it means to love, even when it's difficult. And so those options are available to you today. And so I bless you. I bless you with the truth that you were created in the image of God. I bless you with the truth that you were created with the capacity and the need to be loved, but as you receive that love, to love others. I bless you with the truth that it is true that self is the great destroyer. But I bless you with the truth that God stepped into our world so we could deny ourselves, we could pick up our cross, the things that seem almost impossible, really hard, and we can love even in the face of our darkest hours. For that is when you are your best. And God wants you to be your best. Not because he's out to punish you, but because he's here to liberate you. So walk in that freedom. And then may every thought, word, and deed this week be motivated by a love for others so that others may win. May you learn to reflect the words of Jesus, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I bless you with this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.